It is the popular saying that a healthy society is a wealthy one. On the Great Mind program, medical experts are available to provide solutions to various health challenges. You desire greatness in life. Successful men and women in the society are available on the Great Mind program to reveal to you the secrets to their greatness. The Great Mind of Nancy Oshogbo is a watch for all. Meet me on the program every Sunday between 3:30 and 4 p.m. It is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Ramadan Kareem to our Muslim brothers and sisters. I'm Bola Olayode, your regular uncle on the program The Great Mind, the program that reveals the secrets to the true and lasting success. On the personality profile segment this week, we are celebrating the Orogun of Okila, Oba Adedokun Abolari, who has the passion to service to God and humanity. Meanwhile, on the health segment being sponsored by Osun Health Insurance Agency, we are discussing how the agency came to be and the commitment of the agency to providing qualitative healthcare services to the people of Osun State since its inception. This will be recalled that the bill for the establishment of Osun Health Insurance Agency was enacted into law by the Osun State House of Assembly under the leadership of the former Speaker, Honorable Najim Salam, and was assented to by the former Governor Rauf Aregbesola. As Governor Adegboyega Oyetola took up the mantle of leadership of the state in demonstration of his love and unsurpassed commitment to the well-being of the people of the state, he released 150 million naira take-off grant, consistent payment of 3% government share of health insurance premium for public servants. He also released 477 million naira equity grant for the provision of treatment and care for the vulnerable people in the state.
The objective of accessibility, affordability, and quality health care delivery to our people. It ensures that even people that are vulnerable, the poorest, have access to health care without paying anything.
Objectives of the Osun Health Insurance Agency are following: ensuring that every resident of the state has easy access to effective, quality, and affordable healthcare services, protecting families from financial hardship of huge medical bills, contain costs of healthcare services to attain efficiency, ensure equitable distribution of health costs across different income groups, and also to maintain high standard of healthcare delivery services within the health sectors, among others.
Of the OHIS, that is the Osun Health Insurance Scheme, is quite comprehensive. It covers preventive services, promotive healthcare services, curative services, rehabilitative services, and even palliative services. Under the preventive and promotive services, we engage from time to time on mass sensitization of communities on what they need to do to safeguard their health, to take care of their environment, on nutritional advice and many other things to promote their health and prevent ill health. Aside from that, when they fall ill, the curative aspect of our benefit package is very robust, beginning from emergency services, emergency medical services, emergency surgical services. We treat common ailments, the endemic diseases. We treat pneumonia, we treat malaria, we treat gastroenteritis, we treat typhoid fever, And when it comes to even, domestic accidents, road traffic accidents, we have all of these, captured, in our benefit package. Aside from that, we even do surgeries. We do appendectomies, like I said, for delivery, cesarean section is covered, and, laparotomy for ruptured ectopic is covered. We have angiography is covered. We have appendectomies covered. We have, hydrocelectomies covered under our scheme. These are all surgeries that, cost 100,000, 70,000, 90,000, and 150,000. All of these are covered in our benefit package.
Government of the APC in Osun is very, very, very particular about the health of the people. And having gone through various means by which they can touch the lives of the people, particularly the poorest of the poor, that we refer to as the vulnerables. The bill was actually put in place to ensure that the health of the people is taken seriously.
The aims and objectives of the scheme generally is to reduce our callous and very retrogressive health indices in Osun State, which is very appalling considering maternal mortality, infant mortality, under 5 mortality, and so on, which is very appalling. The scheme is here to help both the needy and those who have.
Budget last year, we tagged the budget of the whole. We promised that our administration will provide qualitative healthcare services to all residents of the state through the implementation of Osun Health Insurance Scheme, OHIS. The scheme guarantees every resident of their state equity and access to health services. So far, we have lived up to our responsibility in this regard. Under the scheme, the poorest of the poor, vulnerable pregnant women, children under 5 years of age, and the aged will have access. We access the care they need at no cost to them through the equity grant to be contributed by the state and local government. This is in addition to the basic health care provision fund for the federal government. Since the coming on board of our administration, we have supported the agency in its effort to be well established and to commence service delivery through the release of the sum of 150 million as take-off grant for the scheme. This was released some months back. The grant is expected to be used for the establishment of Osun Health Insurance business and zonal offices across the 68 LGAs and SCDAs. The Health Insurance Agency is the vehicle for delivering our healthcare promises to the people. I therefore enjoy the board to hit the ground running. On our part, we have collaborated with UNICEF to organize an advocacy session on program shift from free health services FHS to State Social Health Insurance Scheme SSHIS to enable members of the committee and other key stakeholders get a buy-in to the new scheme. Government has engaged political leaders with responsibility for constituency projects, philanthropists, and religious organizations to support the implementation of SSHIS to achieve universal health coverage in Osun.
Osun Health Insurance Agency enrollees are in 4 categories: formal sector, the informal sector, the vulnerable population, and the tertiary institutions health insurance programs.
Yeah. The truth is that when you have a woman that is pregnant and the woman is going to deliver, he gets to the hospital, and because you didn't have money, the woman did not even attend antenatal care in a good hospital. So maybe he was attending antenatal care in some backyard mushroom clinic, and they didn't even do what they call pelvic assessment. They didn't even know whether this patient was going to be able to deliver normally. And then all of a sudden the woman falls into labor, and then the husband takes the woman to the hospital. expecting to hear the good news, and then the next thing they tell you, your wife has been in labor for 12 hours now. It is going to 15 hours. In fact, even the baby is not breathing very well inside. So there is a need for us to do cesarean section. What will happen? The first thing you hear is the woman will burst into tears. She will begin to cry. The husband will run away. Some husbands will go to the toilet 5 times before they come back. And they will say, hey, baby, hey, what are we going to do? That is the tears that is associated with health services. When you have to pay out of pocket, they will tell them, go and deposit 100,000 before we can do cesarean section. That is where the problem. But with OIS, all you need to do is carry your card. Once you carry your OIS card, you get to the hospital, they say, yes, your wife is going to deliver by cesarean section. You say, oh, very well, doctor, go ahead and do it. The maximum you are going to pay may be just 8,000 or 9,000 naira. For something that would have cost you 150, 180,000 naira, depending on the number of years that the patient has had in the past. That is the beauty of our agency. Our scheme has the slogan, we provide quality health care to the good people of this state without tears. It is quality because once you carry our card, the issue of don't go for antenatal is not, doesn't arise, because once you have our card, in fact, you will go to antenatal clinic very relaxed, because you know that everything you are going to come back with will be only 10% of the cost of drugs. And when you go for antenatal, they give you drug worth 1,000 naira. They tell you to go and pay 100 naira. That is all. And you do ultrasound. You have 2 ultrasound free of charge. You don't need to pay a kobo when you are registered with us as OIS. I'm just giving you an example to demonstrate the veracity of our slogan, providing access to quality health care without tears. Once you have your card, you are confident. Anytime anything comes, you just take your card to the hospital, a hospital of your choice, the hospital that you have chosen out of accredited hospital. That's the quality. It is not just any hospital. We accredit the hospitals. We go there, we do inspection of those hospitals. We know whether they have enough facilities in terms of equipment to do many of the things that needs to be done. We inspect their space. We inspect the emptiness of the environment. We want to even know the access road. Do they have a good access road to that particular hospital? And then how many staff do they have? Do they have the medicines that's contained in our essential medicine list? That's the quality aspect of our work. So before we accredit any facility as good to provide service, we will have looked at all of those things, and then we approve that you can provide service. That's the quality aspect. Then the protection from financial tears, from embarrassment, is what I've just explained to you. You are not afraid of the cost, because once they say it, at the end of the day, you know that all you are going to pay is 10% of the cost of drugs. That is all, and that is quite awesome. And the people of Osun State, through the largesse of the governor, the goodwill of Mr. Governor, I keep saying this because Mr. Governor has been a backbone of this agency. He had never reneged in doing all that needs to be done to ensure that the good people of this state get service under this. And everyone that has benefited from this scheme can testify, whether they are civil servants or Yaloja or Kada people. The population of the state is classified into the formal sector. These are the people that are working with the state or the local government. Now, it is also classified into the informal sector. That is the people that are self-employed. They are in the informal market. They are the market women, they are the artisans, they are the hairdressers, the bricklayers, the Okada riders, the NURTW. They all constitute the informal sector. Then we have the vulnerable population. This is the one that takes care of all the people that are vulnerable. In our scheme, we define the vulnerable population as the indigent under 5 children, the indigent pregnant women, the indigent elderly people. Mark my word, indigent, because my own child that is under 5 cannot be considered an indigent child, because I have enough to provide for my child's treatment. But the under 5 child of a woman in the village that doesn't even have a source of livelihood.
The caliber of insurance scheme that we have is variegated into 3 sections. We have for the people in the formal sector, we call the formal sector because they are workers of government, so they earn salary directly from government. And we have it from the informal sector. The informal sector are the artisans and the people working on their own that will be interested in actually coming into the insurance policy. These two categories of people have to pay premium. The premium is what we pay, but the other category is the vulnerables. The vulnerable is being taken care of from two fronts. We have the equity grants by the state government, by the local government, and also the basic health care provision fund, which is being remitted for the care of the vulnerables. The vulnerables, what we mean by the vulnerables are the people, the poorest of the poor. They cannot afford, you see, even food, not to talk of basic health care for themselves.
Since Osun Health Insurance Agency is committed to providing quality healthcare services without tears to the residents in Osun State, make judicious use of the opportunity by enrolling now. Now to the personality profile segment. As I said earlier, on this segment this week, we are celebrating Oba Adedokun Abolanidi Onokun of Okela, who had a dream of establishing a school for the children of the vulnerable in the society. With the backing of God, the dream has now become a reality.
This house is in Oba Asholos compound, Okela, the headquarters of the federal local government in Osun State. It is the origin of the present Onokun of Okela, Oba Adedokun Omoniji Abolani Arorinkaye I. His parents migrated from this compound to stay in Ibadan at Agugu area. 2 years before Nigeria became independent, Adedokun Omoniji was born to Madam Mary Ibitaye Abolani ní Olayomi of Ipoti Ekiti and Pa Daniel Adeyemi Abolani, a prince from Okela. Adedokun Omoniji Abolani started his elementary education in 1964 at Seventh-day Adventist Primary School, Agodi, Ibadan, from where he proceeded to Adventist Grammar School, Ede, in 1970. His Royal Majesty Onokun of Okela to say about his childhood.
My childhood, great. An Ibadan boy, was born 2 years before Nigeria became independent in Ibadan. Adeoyo State Hospital then the Colonial Hospital. We were then in Ibadan, Binla to be specific, and that's the house of the parents of the present head of service in Oyo State and the former secretary the former secretary of NUC, Olu and Peter Okebukola. So, Bela, my mommy's shop in Itutaba, my church, my own church, my traditional church, the Seventh-day Adventist church in Irefin. So I'm an Ibadan boy. I grew up in Ibadan, nurtured in Ibadan. The tradition and culture of the Ibadan people are imbibed from childhood. I love to watch the masquerades, Olu, Kudrubejo, Adandum, Kongo, so I'm an Ibadan boy. Love Amala and Begili with a wedu, so all the pranks of childhood I played, but my father, being a primary school headmaster, they must spare the law. From the primary school, then I went to, in 1970, I went to Adventist Grammar School, Ede, from 1970 to 1974. There I met great minds. My school principal, Elder Enoch Dari, now in Ede, then the vice vice principal then, Pastor D.T. Agbola, now in retirement in Oto Ekiti, Elder Folabi, very many teachers who then made a great impression on me. And the motto of my school, building souls for service, I guess prepared me for where I am now, because it is important to always build souls for service.
Having obtained his O-level certificate from Adventist Grammar School Ede in 1974, Adedokun Omonije Abolani proceeded to the Polytechnic Ibadan for his higher school certificates.
I did my A-levels. I just did that for a year. I was then a student of the Ibadan Polytechnic between 1975 and 1976. I enjoyed that 365 days of my life, because I just left home for, in quotes, a tertiary institution. And there I met very many of my friends of today I met then in school.
Because of his insatiable thirst for knowledge, in 1976, Adedokun Omonije Abolani proceeded to the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, to study political science and graduated in 1980. A year after, he went back to the same institution for the master's degree in international relations. It did not stop at that. In 1987, he got admission to the same Obafemi Awolowo University to study law.
From 76 to 80, I read political science, the then University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. Then between 1981 to 1983, I did my master's in international relations, same university, Obafemi Awolowo University, and finally between 1987 to 1990, I read law at the then Obafemi Awolowo University, before I was called to the bar in 1991.
Adedokun Omonije Abolani, who was a teacher for years before he became a legal practitioner, was the legal advisor to the former Senate President, Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, before he answered the call of his people.
I was a lecturer at the then Oyo State College of Arts and Science. I was there for about 9 years. I ended up my teaching career, St. Andrews College of Education, 1989 to 1990. There, subsequently, I was called to the bar, and I started to practice law in the firm of S.C. Onodele & Co., Western House, Lagos. I set up my own practice later, and maybe in the year 2000, I moved to Abuja, first as a special advisor to the then Senate President on legal and constitutional matters. And subsequently, I set up my firm again in Abuja, mainly pursuing legislative matters and constitutional matters in the area of the legislative process, until I became a king, the Ogun of Okela, in the year 2006, December 8th.
As it is scripturally stated that two are better than one, Adedokun Omonije Abolani was joined in marriage to Adeola Abolani in May 22, 1994. The marriage has been blessed with wonderful children. Adedokun Omonije Abolani has imbibed the spirit of selfless service to humanity right from his childhood.
In terms of the very best, they give us the very best. But again, to appreciate the downtrodden, that hey, we must always live for others, because my father was always saying that hey, it was a good example of the goodness of the extended family. So we grew up with members of the extended family. So it is important. He was fond of telling us that we must always serve others. We should not be for, it should not be for self alone. So the training was for selflessness, not to be selfish, not to think of yourself alone, but to think of others, and that I really appreciate. Not for us alone, or for others.
A school principal at Adventist Grammar School, Ede Pa Enoch Dare, extols the good virtues of Adedokun Omoneji Abolani.
Well, as you will even see him today, you will see that he was quite a brilliant and very dynamic young man. He was very much loved by his colleagues and his schoolmates.
The great man crew visited the mother of Oba Adedokun Omoneji Abolani in her residence at Agugu area, Ibadan.
Ọlọ́run ló mọ gbogbo nǹkan fẹ́ mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ àdìtú ni gbàtà tẹ́tẹ́ tàbí àṣà mọ̀ pé bó ṣe ṣe àṣà gbogbo ọmọ náà ni ṣùgbọ́n tiẹ̀ ó fẹ́ tún gbọ́n àfúnra bí ṣe ń ṣe ìṣe pé láàmọ̀ pé ìwà rẹ̀ ọba tí bàbá ti yọ lọ́kàn báyìí ni wọ́n mọ̀ pé ni wọ́n sá máa sá òun ló mọ̀ dáhùn wọ́n mọ̀ pé lórúkọ wọ́n mọ̀ pé lókè pẹ́kàn pé ní bọ̀dá wọ́n sá máa pè é òun ó sá máa rẹ́rìn tí wọ́n yóò máa ṣe wájú kíkẹ́ tí mo kàn yí lára ni pé ó kó ni mọ́ra láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọjọ́ ayé ẹ̀.
Oba Adedokun Omoneji Abolani, who was enthroned as Orangun of Okela on Friday, December 8, 2006, was presented with the staff of office and instruments of appointment on June 18, 2007 by the then Governor Prince Olagunsoye Oyinlola. On his ascension to the throne, his vision was to establish a school where the children of the indigents will be nurtured to greatness. In the year 2014, the dream of Oba Adedokun Abolani became a reality. Abolani College was established. The Ooni of Ife, His Imperial Majesty Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi, recently visited Abolani College.
On that note, we are ending this week edition of the program, The Great Mind. Stay blessed.